Okay, let's see if this is working. Is this stream running? Yes, it is. Okay, let's see if this is working. Hello. All right. Um, great. Let's see how long it takes until it catches up. It's pretty slow. All right. Well, while I'm waiting, I don't really think I'm going to have a lot of folks show up tonight, but I wanted to make sure that I was here if anybody did. All right. Mic check. Yeah. Good. Okay. Well, it's the first stream, and if nobody comes, I won't be offended. What I'm hoping I can do is answer some questions people might have. Um, so we'll check on that. Okay. Great. Okay. While I'm here, I wanted to demonstrate some things that we can do with Gemini. Again, you can always use Flash or Pro. I usually like to use Pro, honestly, but I'm going to use Flash since we know that one's readily available. Mystery. All right, we'll see how that works. Looks like it's just me. That sounds fine. All right, good. I'll push this over to the corner. Let's get back to this. So when you look at the Gemini options, there's a bunch of gems there, and I think it'll default to showing these. I'm going to pin that, right? And there are other gems, Explore gems. There's like 5 or 6. The storybook is one of my favorites because the combination of creating the story, the images, and then that it will read it aloud. And as we can see here, it's kind of chugging through. I feel like this was made so that people could generate like bedtime stories for kids, and it definitely sort of has that narration to it. But you can create any number of different types of things, and I like to make short educational material. So what I'm going to do, if anybody wants to watch this later, is just run through the book. I'm going to let it play out so you can kind of see how it works. Okay. Like I said, I think we're good. It'll probably just be me. So if you're watching this from the CSC 113 class later, here are some of the examples of things that I posted. I found this kind of interesting, asking Gemini, I am a nursing student. I'm not, but I thought that would be an interesting question. How could I make personalized study buddies? And in 113, we're going to get into making these custom gems. I call them chatbots. You could think of them as agents. And you could do the same thing with custom GPT or Claude projects. So any AI tool you have probably has some way to set up a set beginning system prompt. On top of the system prompt that the system already uses. But basically, when you make a prompt that says, I want you to run things a certain way, and then you follow that with your question, or if you're using a custom gem, you can actually program it this way. So I'm going to actually try this out. I think I'll, if I do edit the file and just copy and paste everything. Great. I will cancel that, but now I've got it copied. My storybook's good. That's great. I want to read that, but I'm going to actually go and make a new chat real quick and say, I don't want to do that. I want to say explore gems and new gem. And I'm going to say nursing study helper. All right. And I can point this to different sites. Let's see if I can just find something real quick. Give me a good resource. Is this a good source? I don't know. I don't do a lot of studying of anatomy, and you need to make an account. That's no good. So let's see what might be good. Maybe the OpenSex class might work. I'm going to just try it. So I'm going to say, here, I'd like you to have this information. I would have to upload the files. Okay, so really what I should do is go get, I've got actually a book on physiology and pathophysiology. I'll skip that though. Let's try it out. I want to say LPN instead of RN because that should give, and of course that's good. It's going to say, hey, look, because this is medical, do not let this gem diagnose your diseases. That sounds good. And it's talking about fundamentals of nursing, anatomy and physiology, patient safety, vital signs. Okay, this seems like reasonable stuff. I do like the fact that it goes through and says, well, not what you're studying, but also how you would do that. If I was going to save this gem, I would hit save, and then I would have that added. I'm going to show you another one that is preset. Yeah, we'll close that. The learning coach is pretty good too. I was using this for the question. Let's do this. Better prompts for my AI agents. I've been told that using persona. Okay, so it's going for analogies. Who is the AI? What should they do? You know, the way I used to tell people is you need to decide who are you today, because you are many things, right? If you're studying for a nursing class right now, you're a nursing student. If you're trying to fix your ficus plant, now you're a gardener. So you say, I am doing X. You are some persona that you want to work with. You know, throw in the purpose is to have these certain skills and do that. Okay, so this is good. What I wanted to show with the learning coach is it doesn't just give you answers. It's going to be Socratic. It's going to give you some points and start with it. Let's see here. Okay, just checking. Yeah, like I said, this is just going to be me watching myself, but I wanted to post this to get a little advice, get a little information out there. So 4Ps, persona and purpose. Who the AI is, and you know, I do think giving your AI a character is really important. For one thing, when you have a lot of different gems or different agents, whatever you want to call them, if they behave differently, it's easier to remember who's who. But also, more importantly, if you don't give the thing a persona, it's just going to try to copy you. And I'm not going to pull up all the articles about people falling in love with AI. I don't think you guys are going to have that problem. But it's not healthy to have a conversation with a thing which is just trying to be you or trying to keep you happy, right? So by saying, here's what you are. You're a Zoomer who loves gardening, or you are a detective who loves to talk about solving nursing cases. You know, if you like true crime and you're a nursing student, that might be a good fit. Okay. Parameters and personalization. Let's talk about parameters. And you can have sort of just a back and forth here. And again, Flash is pretty good at this because we're not asking it to write a novel or write code. It's just doing some things here. So great. So it's saying things like setting the constraints because what do you actually want from this? Are you trying to write an email to your boss? Are you trying to write a paper you're going to maybe present in front of people? So now you've got to think about what reads well as speaking well. This is pretty good. So you're a witty, knowledgeable wine sommelier. Write a tasting note for Cabernet Sauvignon. It must be under 75 words and include a forest metaphor. Great. Then I'm lost on what personalization is. I'm curious to see if it'll remember the 4 points. Okay, personalization would be, okay, so they're saying the you, right? Explain photosynthesis to someone who loves cooking. So it's doing the kind of, another way you could say this is who, what, when, where, how, and why. I'm just going to be nice, finish the conversation. And so it'll now say, oh, okay, well, actually, if you understand that point, let's move on to the next point. So I think this would be something that people should play around with. How good will your results be? It depends. But I think it's pretty useful. All right, while I'm here, I'm going to pull up the storybook. And I think it'll be fun to play this. So usually what I like to do is just, can I do that? I want to make it full size, I think. There we go.
The Case of the Silent Canary.
Oh, it sometimes will
The
time out.
rain beat a lonely rhythm on the window of my office. Each drop a tiny ghost tapping to get in. I was nursing a lukewarm coffee when she walked in, a dame with eyes as deep and dark as a starless night. "I need your help, detective," she purred, her
Hope
voice
that's
like
better,
velvet
sorry.
and smoke. "My songbird, he's gone." I pulled out my trusty iPhone, the glow of the screen cutting through the gloom. I opened Gemini. "Okay, dollface," I said. "Let's start with the basics." I typed, "Find my bird." Gemini, bless its digital heart, gave me a list of every pet store and aviary in a 50-mile radius. I sighed. The smoke from my cigarette.
Okay, I won't make you listen to the whole thing, but I think this gives a good example. It's got the style I like. It makes the point. Let's go to the next page. Okay? It's very silly that it's got this whole 30s thing with the iPhone, but that's fine. Okay, so now we've got more information. Okay, pretty good. I like that. So now we're saying give it a persona and a purpose, right? Act as a world-class private investigator, analyze the following information. So if you don't like learning through stories or analogies, this might not work for you, but for me it kind of works. I don't know if it's just the fact that there's images, there's text, there's sound. Let's see here. Okay, so he said get new information, update the prompt. Now we found it. Notice the style has kind of changed here. It's more like a illustration. You'll see a little bit of drift in style, even if you give it a particular style. And that's pretty great that only the bird has color. I can appreciate that. So now, yeah, give me a cease and desist letter. Actually, you get pretty funny results if you ask an AI to act like a lawyer. I don't recommend it, but that is funny. Yep. Okay. So I just wanted to point that out. I mean, I think you can get some pretty neat results sometimes. And if I wanted to do, I could say, hey, let's make another sequel to this. Let's make a story where something else happens. I've done dozens of these, I will tell you. And sometimes they get a little weird. I've done ones for, games I used to play around with. I did some things about collecting symbols. I'm not going to have you read all these, but it was a lot of fun. I think this was oh yeah. I took some information. It'll do things like take the words and put them on the pages. There's some interesting kind of, like, I would say glitch effects you might see sometimes. Okay. I'm going to make another chat. So something that's kind of fun to look at if you do Canvas, let's do this. I'll say, and I think this prompt should still work. Make a let's see if that works. So make a data-driven dashboard is a little bit of magic worddom that will usually create a website. I kind of like to look at this and see what the different things it's thinking about are, but some people find that overwhelming. If nothing else, you can tell that it's actually doing things. Oh, I'm still on Pro. Okay, so I should probably switch it back to Flash afterwards and see how it does. For writing code, I think they're both okay if you just want a website, but for something more complicated, you might want to use Pro. And even if you're on a free account, you can usually get a fair amount of Pro, but Flash you can almost use, all day long, even on a free account. So it's got to write the whole page. One thing you're going to notice is if you want information to be in web format, or as I said, data-driven dashboard, you're going to find it takes a while to make the page. Here we go. So this is a pretty common look I will see when they do a data-driven dashboard. So it finds the information here. Let's see if we have... Let's see if I can get it to pull new information. Not a very exciting site, but it works. Of course, now that I've asked it to update the stats. One of the things you will notice with LLMs is they'll often forget what year it is or what month it is. So if you need something specific, I like to say things like, it's September 2025 and the XYZ device has come out. So I don't get information about when this comes out, it's supposed to be good. And I'm like, it's out, there's reviews. You can go ahead and check. So here it's now projecting, so those numbers went up, assuming what we did. Looks like the graph is a little weird looking. That's not a really great graph. I do like the fact that it's just giant long graph. So I got a pretty glitchy result out of this. Is there anything under the graph? I'm not sure. Okay. So this one might be a bust. However, if you have information, it went a little weird. Okay, so I'm gonna just try it again. Make a new chat. I'll try it with Flash this time. And I'll say, please create data item with for 10 fictional students. All right, so I'm going to make some fake data, and then I'm going to try to visualize that fake data. Looks pretty good? Great. And then I'm going to say the magic words, please help me visualize this information in a data-driven dashboard. You can just say website, but somebody somewhere training these things loves the phrase data-driven dashboard. Okay. It's going to use some things here. I don't teach web development, not really, not much, but I will tell you that, okay, cool, this is good. So AI is very good at making web pages, especially if you don't need them to be, change a lot or have lots of pages. Okay, this is pretty cool. So, I feel like, again, if you're using real people's data, you don't want to be uploading people's names to Google, which is why I used fake data, but this is not the worst. But what you'll find sometimes when you get a page like this, you should probably save it. I might want to do share and copy the contents, make a new file. I could also just share this and give people the link. Well, that's just a few things I wanted to show for CSE 113, the AI class, and I hope it's been somewhat helpful. The other thing I did today, I did a video talking about how, when I did one of those back and forth with Gemini, I just copy and pasted my prompt and then put some dashes and then the next part. And I ended up creating here something that I could submit for this assignment for the module to make a helper bot. Mine's it's a little strange. I think it's okay. Okay, well, I really appreciate that, folks. I'm going to close these up. But one thing you can do with the custom gems, if you say have like a PDF of some of the information from your class, if they've given you like the syllabus, things like that, you can add those things in, and that can be very useful in grounding the AI. Well, thank you. I'm going to end the stream now, and like I said, if anybody finds this useful, please let me know.